Well, they say that you're a fool. You believe in magic.
I'm Paranormal Pete, and I'm on a journey to seek answers to the questions that have crossed all of our minds. What happens to us when we die? Is there an afterlife? I'm a regular guy who discovered the gift of psychic mediumship in my 30s. My passion for history and the unknown have put me right here, right now. My mantra for anything paranormal is, we don't know much and anything is possible. Join me as we find our way through the stories, evidence, and experiences of the paranormal and beyond in search of answers, even if that leads to more questions. Are you with me?
Some hocus pocus filling up inside. And I think somebody's making.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Paranormal Pete Show. I'm your host, Pete Orbe. We are on WLTK-DB.com, and make sure you go check out the website. You can catch us on all the socials at WLTK-DB. Wherever you're watching from tonight, feel free to drop in a comment, say hello. I'll give you a shout out. And if you haven't checked out the rest of the station and you just watched the show, well, one, I thank you, but I encourage you also to check out all the other shows. There's over 25 shows on the station, so there's stuff all week long, and you've got everything from true crime to cryptids to metaphysical to the paranormal, like this show. Although we mix in some metaphysical here, but definitely go check it out. There's a new function on there that we've had going for a few weeks. It's working great. You can sync the station calendar to your calendar so you can never miss your favorite show. So if you like this one, I'm going to guarantee you're going to like a lot of other shows. So hopefully you'll check it out, or you can download the station app. Just go to your app store and put in the station name, WLTK-DB. And you can catch live shows there. You got a lot of different avenues that you can catch shows, audio versions, and audio and video versions. So, and welcome to the show, Joanna's, and she's watching from Fort Worth. Right on. Welcome to the show. Thanks for watching. Shout out to Todd Bates, host of Haunted Voices, all right, here on WLTK-DB. He's the station owner. He keeps this ship running, so appreciate all that he does and the rest of the staff that helps out. If you like the intro music, as always, shameless self-promotion time. That's my band, Steady Rock Cosmonaut. That's a song called Magic. So just anywhere you like to stream music, just look up Steady Rock Cosmonaut, and hope you enjoy. Well, tonight is lucky number episode 99, and tonight we have Joss and Monique Rose from Fright Life Paranormal. I'm really excited to bring them on tonight. I've got some good questions, and I know they've got good answers, but next week is episode 100. I can't believe I'm making it to episode 100. So I've got a 2-hour show coming to you next week. And I've got a bunch of guests coming on the first hour. I've got my good friends Casey Goodwin, Michael White, Ben Robinson, Todd Bates from Haunted Voices will be on. Good friend Michael Beers, Jason Hassler, and Mary Bethune. They're all going to be joining us for the first hour, and it's going to be kind of a round table. Who knows what we'll get into, but I know it's going to be fun with these people, and a lot of great minds in the paranormal in that group there. For hour 2, I'm focusing more on mediumship. And so I've invited some mediums on that have had an impact in my journey. And I thought this would be a great way to say thank you to them and also share everything that they've got to say. So I've got Seth Michael coming on in hour 2, along with my good friend and mentor in the psychic world, William Becker. And I've also got very good friend to Port Gamble and myself and Kasha Amenti coming on as well. So it's going to be a 2-hour special. And I'm also going to be debuting a new Steady Rock Cosmonaut song that we just kind of got in the can here. So looking forward to sharing that as well. So next week, episode 100. So a good friend of the show, Katie, checking in. Wow, it's going to be an awesome show. Thank you. It will be fun with these people. There's no way it's not going to be a fun show. I've got one more special investigation coming up next this Saturday, on April 15th from 7 to 10. It might be sold out. I'll have to check, but you can get see dates and get tickets at portgambleparanormal.com. It's right here on my hat, portgambleparanormal.com. You can see upcoming dates. I am looking to do some summer dates, which I will release in May. So I'll do a couple of special summer tours. Did that last year. It was a lot of fun. And we've got somebody else checking in. We got Rosie A. She's watching from West Lynn. Proud parent here. Right on. Thanks for watching. Then I've got the OC Paracon that I'm always talking about. It's going to be a great conference this year. It's down in Anaheim, the first weekend in October. It's a 3-day conference. They just redid their website, so be sure you go check that out at ocparacon.com. And I'll be doing updates for the 14th annual Port Gamble Ghost Conference in early May as well. Talked to a lot of great people at the Oregon Ghost Conference, and so I'm really looking forward to our conference in November. That's going to be Veterans Day weekend. I think it's November 10th through the 12th this year. So you'll want to go to portgamble.com for that to get information. Go to the events tab. So definitely keep an eye out for that as we start updating. And Mariner Blue, hey man, good evening, Pete. Looking forward to the show tonight. Thanks, me too. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm also taking part in a fundraiser with Debbie Romero from Transcend with Debbie. It's for benefiting Mission 22. It's a organization that helps veterans in mental health, and we're doing psychic medium demonstration basically from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. There's over 20 mediums. They're going to be on there for about 15 minutes each. I think I'm on at 1:45. It's on May 20th. I think 1:45 in the afternoons when I'm on, and you can get your reservation for that event at transcendwithdebbie.com. I'm looking forward to that and just kind of seeing all the other mediums and how they work. And plus, it's a great benefit here as well for veterans' mental health. So that's transcendwithdebbie.com. Got that coming up. Excited for that. Well, without further ado, I think we need to bring on tonight's guest, Joss and Monique Rose, with Fright Life Paranormal. It's a husband and wife team born and raised in Oregon City, Oregon. With a focus on case studies, they research and cover topics ranging from strange occurrences, cryptozoology, and a variety of hauntings to UFO landings and all paranormal phenomena in between. Join Fright Life every other Sunday for a spooky podcast covering one paranormal case at a time. The show is fully researched, written, and edited by Joss and Monique Rose, who are happy to discuss documented paranormal cases, theories, and personal accounts with enthusiasts and, most importantly, skeptics alike. Let's bring them on, Joss and Monique Rose. Hey, guys.
Hi.
Hi.
Thanks for coming on tonight and taking the time to be here with us on the Paranormal Pete Show. It only took a couple of years to get you guys on.
Thanks for having us.
We're all so busy. But welcome to episode 99 here. And so you guys are out of Oregon City?
Yes. Both born and raised in haunted OC.
Yeah, I love that place. I've only been there a few times, but it's got such a it does have a really cool vibe in the town. There's, a good energy there. Plus all the old stuff, I think I'm attracted to, I think energetically to that kind of thing. So going to Oregon City is, it's like coming to Port Gamble for me. It's a little bit older than Port Gamble, but it's from that era.
It's got the same kind of vibe for sure.
Yeah.
So what is it like? What was it like growing up there? Did you guys, did you live in a haunted house, or would you be out somewhere and you had an experience? What was it like growing up in Oregon City?
Yeah. So I actually did grow up in a haunted house. I've covered this on the show before, and I'm doing some writing around this. But basically, we started experiencing things when I was pretty young. And then when we told our elders, the stories we were, what we were experiencing, they finally told us like, oh yeah, we had those same things happen to us when we were kids in the same house. So definitely haunted.
That's cool. What about you, Joss?
I didn't grow up in a haunted house, but I grew up in a household that Art Bell was a household name. Like it was my dad and I listened to Art Bell all the time. So I've always had a stronger interest in like UFOs and extraterrestrials and things like that.
Yeah. Right on. Have you ever had an experience? Have you ever, seen something?
So that it's kind of
you don't have to talk about it if you don't want to, but if you have, let's hear it.
Well, I've seen a couple of really weird things in the sky. I think just months ago there was I thought it was an airplane, and it was just like cruising, and then it changed directions and went back the way it came. It wasn't moving like super fast, but it was like it just like boggled. I had to pull over and like collect myself because it really kind of freaked me out.
Right.
But I'm always like looking out the window of our apartment. Like if there's lights in the sky, I'm like, what? And the big joke is it's just without even looking. She's like, it's just an airplane.
It's not a UFO.
It's not a UFO.
So Monique, are you more skeptical with UFOs? Okay.
Yeah. Even with ghosts, with everything, I like to go down the list of like, what else could it possibly be? Because I do believe in it, but I'm someone who wants only the purest data and evidence to get through. Because anything else, I think, kind of muddies the water. So I really like to make sure we're checking those boxes before we call it what we want it to be.
Yeah. Well, it's important to have that skepticism. I think that's great. I'm more on Joss's side. I think with the UFOs, I'm always looking, looking up in the sky.
I want it so bad. But we do this thing where we love the, all the paranormal shows on the Travel Channel and stuff like that. Like that's our Saturday morning is like watching the ghost shows, and we'll pause it and be like, okay, but if that's moving there, then maybe there's a string attached and it could be like pulled, or like, we like to just nitpick at that stuff. Cause if you can't figure out how they did it, then maybe it's like, oh, that's weird,
Right. Well, it keeps your skills sharp, when you're looking at that, cause then you can look at your own data that you collect on an investigation and with that same filter. I've got a couple people checking in here saying hi to you guys. Got Michael Rose, looking forward to Joss and Mo. And Roseanne, Fright Life, yay to Joss and Monique. You're looking great.
Thank you. My mom and dad.
Those are our parents. So big fans.
Hey, mom and dad. Hey, mom and dad. That's great. They're your biggest fans, and I love. It's nice to have the biggest fan, right?
Oh yeah, definitely. For sure.
Absolutely. So Monique, following up on that, talk about the importance of skepticism, especially in the paranormal. That's not like a true scientific field, or it's not considered a true scientific field. So talk about the importance of skepticism in your research or like working in a team setting.
Okay. So yeah, thanks for that question. So I mean, it's very important because science, I want it to be more in the realm of science, right? I want it to be accepted by science eventually. And just, we're kind of making headway a little bit with every investigation, I think. But with science, you need repeatable data. And with anomalous activity, you, of course, don't have that repeatable data. So I like to keep it as, to eliminate as many variables as possible. So it is hard to work in a live investigation in a team setting if you're not highly organized, because certain things can happen where you hear one little bump and it's somebody just kind of kicking something over. And if you jump to the conclusion that like, oh, that's so exciting, we heard a little knock, but you're not debunking things and you're not, having your skeptic hat on,
right?
You can, come up with poor data. And I just think that it's it's almost more fun to like go through that. And if you can eliminate those things, then you can get really extra excited about it. And then in terms of research, I like to really be skeptical and look at different case studies from various points of view. So I generally, I start with Googling and then Wikipedia, and then I'm like, what books can I find on this? Can I find any firsthand accounts or interviews, police reports? What can I really sift through and cross-reference? And, what must they have been feeling at the time? Or what does just a trained observer like an officer, a police officer, think about this as well? So, I think it's just more important because, like I said, it gives the most credible data if you're really scrutinizing that data.
Exactly. Very well said. Very well said. Very well said. So I kind of want to go back to Oregon City a little bit just because I love the place. So have you guys been to the Ermitinger house?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And is that like the most haunted place you've been to, or what's your favorite haunt in Oregon City?
So the Ermitinger house is fantastic. We've been there a few times, just kind of walking around on our own and part of a little tour. And that one's more on feelings. I like to really kind of open up. We haven't investigated there, but I kind of just open up my intuition and kind of feel out the space. And so there are certain areas in the house that I feel just a presence, I guess. And we went recently and I asked our daughter, Olivia, to let me know. I just said, just let me know what you feel in here. And she came up with the same feeling in the same room.
Interesting.
So that was really cool.
Wow. And was she scared at all, or she like you guys, she's into it?
She's into
it. Yeah.
But we think that she's got some psychic abilities. There's a couple of spots like in our own home where, she's 11 now, so, but she won't go into the bathroom at night without like somebody standing kind of like nearby, because it's just like there's something about what's going on in there. I think it might be the mirror that's in there.
Yeah, but that's only certain days. Even she'll feel it out, and if it just doesn't feel right to her, she'll ask one of us to come with her. So that's kind of why I was testing that out at the Ermitinger house. Like, what are you feeling? Let's see if we can kind of match this up. But she generally loves it. She actually listens to or follows a YouTuber or a TikTok person who covers paranormal things, and she was so excited about it. And I was like, your dad and I do that, right? And she's like, oh yeah, I guess I'll start listening to you guys. Yeah. So
I guess.
It's probably super lame when we do it.
Yeah.
Oh right. Yeah, mom and dad. So embarrassing. Yeah. So I have an 11-year-old daughter as well, and an 8-year-old. And were you guys nervous talking about the paranormal to your kid, or how'd you guys kind of approach that? Because I think a lot of people are kind of shy away from talking about it with their kids. Like, how was your guys' approach? How did it go for you guys?
So generally with the paranormal and even religious and spiritual things, we'll say things like, some people believe this, and then it's sort of like, find your truth. We won't even tell her what the truth is. We'll just say, find your truth. What do you feel is correct to you? So that's sort of how we approach that, and kind of a broad range of subjects in life.
Yeah. It's really about asking the questions. Like we encourage her to, not that we're necessarily experts, but like we always try to answer questions that she might have about things like that as best as we can, or refer her to somebody who might be more knowledgeable than us. So
yeah, that's a great approach, letting them kind of find their way, trying to have them be curious. Like, that's what we're trying to do.
Yeah.
Have them be curious, but have questions, and then find their own way through it. Like, we don't push one thing on them or another. Like you said, find your truth, find your path. So it's a great way to go. It sounds like you guys were lucky growing up to where your parents were open-minded to things, right?
Yeah.
You know, Monique, with your situation in the haunted house, you had multiple generations saying, "Oh yeah, we're okay to talk about it," right? They were
Right. Yeah.
sharing about it, and Joss, for you, you know, and Art Bell and all that
Oh yeah.
being, you know, an open-minded environment. How do you think that shaped you ultimately as, you know, being in the field of the paranormal? How did that shape you?
So with me, it was a little different because my family believed in all of this. But I grew up Catholic. My family was Catholic. And so that was a little trickier because while they
Right.
believe in that, it can mean certain things that aren't supposed to be happening. So we
Right.
had to really be careful around that. And my mom actually, while she, supported me in general, it would always scare her if I would ask too many questions about the
Sure.
paranormal or dive into it a little too much, because while they acknowledge the existence of these things, it means something different in the Catholic faith. But I
Right.
mean, it was still, we weren't like extremely Catholic. It wasn't real. It was just like a little scarier because it's generally demon related.
Yeah.
It's not just
Right.
like, oh, this is just Casper the friendly ghost. It's like, well, watch out, because that means it's a demon, and that's
Right.
terrifying.
Right.
So that was a little tricky. I had to overcome that a little bit to know that it's okay. And then even in researching some things that are, about possession or things like that, now I'm like, well, let's look a little more into this and
Your
not put
skeptic
my
hat comes on.
yeah, yep.
Okay. Yeah, it's great. What about you, Joss?
I mean, honestly, I can't think of like a specific like moment or memory of like, oh, I'm into the paranormal. I think it's just always been so matter of fact in my life that it's
Yeah.
just always been there. It's always been like, conspiracy theories and alien cover-ups, and just like I have this knowledge floating around in the back of my head, and I don't even know like where half of this stuff comes from, but like
Maybe you're
it's always
psychic.
been there. I mean, that could be too. I've been accused a few times.
I think everybody starts out that way. It's just kind of whether or not you use the muscle or not, or when
Yeah.
you discover the muscle. But I think everybody starts out that way, and I think, you know, even though you don't have a certain moment you can point to, Joss, but just the overall being open-minded and like matter of fact that there's more to what we can see, right?
Yeah.
Like
Mhm.
that shaped you into somebody who's curious and has questions and wants to learn more,
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
and experience too. I guess I
Well,
don't know. Go ahead.
there's an interesting phenomenon. Sorry, I don't know if you guys can hear the race cars happening outside our house.
It's the ghost cars. Yeah.
Yeah. There's this sort of interesting phenomenon that we've experienced as we have developed our paranormal research and investigation, where it seems like more unexplainable things happen around us because we're more open to it. It's like that little like motel light is on saying like, we're here, you can come and talk to us.
Right.
I mean, just even in our own house, we've been recording the podcast, and we've had the mood set, it's all spooky in here, and we're talking about whatever paranormal case we're talking about, and we've had crazy things happen just in like while we're recording.
Yeah, because we're open to it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, you're almost like a beacon.
Yeah, exactly.
On the other side, they're like, "Oh, we can talk to them.
Yeah.
They'll hear us. Oh, they have
Mhm.
things that will help them see us. That we can tell them who we are." Yeah,
Yeah.
experienced that too.
Mhm.
Where it seemed like everywhere I worked when I was, teenager and up was haunted, except for like one place. There was all these experiences going on. It was like everywhere I worked was haunted, and then I came to Port Gamble and started to work here, and it started experiencing things. And so yeah, I get what you're saying there. I wanted to talk about William Becker a little bit, and
Yeah.
'cause I know you guys know him. He's a good friend. He's certainly great friend of mine. He's been kind of my mentor when I started my mediumship journey. And how'd you guys meet William? And tell us about that. How'd you meet William?
I don't even remember how we initially met. I think
It was the ghost tour we did for your birthday.
Yes, in joining a ghost tour with Rocky Smith and William Becker. And then he sort of just, we kind of clicked and hit it off right away. He was really open and sweet. And I started having some strange things happen around the house here when Olivia was about 2. And I just wanted to make sure, this was sort of my Catholic upbringing, that nothing dark was kind of lingering around. And so, and we also just wanted to talk more with him. And so we had him over for dinner to kind of hang out and get the feel of the place. And so that's really what initially kind of drew us together. And,
cool.
And then continuing to bug Rocky and go on more of the tours and all of that. We sort of developed, we of course need to get together way more often than we do, but
sure.
But we definitely love and appreciate him so much.
Yeah, I met him at the Port Gamble Ghost Conference, and he was doing a presentation. And while he was doing this presentation, I started to see a figure following him around.
Wow.
Keep in mind at this point, I am super skeptical of psychic work. Okay. And because I didn't know much about it, very skeptical of it. But I saw this figure walking around behind him that was following him, and he would do a reading for somebody in the audience. And when he would do a reading, this shadow would kind of disperse into this big cloud, and it was kind of yellow and blue. And then when he was done with the reading, it would come back down to this shape, what looked like a man, the shadow that was just behind him. So I'm watching this whole thing, and I'm like rubbing my eyes and like, okay, am I hungry? Am I dehydrated? Like what's going on? Like, this is weird, right? And so I walked up to talk to William and to let him know what I was seeing, just to say it. And as I'm walking up, another person is talking to him, explaining what they were seeing, and it was exactly what I was seeing.
Oh, wow. That's so cool.
And my stomach sank.
Yeah.
And I just thought that was so weird. And so then I talked to William and the other gentleman standing there. And I was like, so what does this mean that I was just going to come up and say the same exact thing? And they said, well, you need to pay attention. You're psychic. You're not paying attention. You need to recognize it now. And that always kind of stuck with me. And that was like the first experience I had with William was that.
Wow.
And
that's so cool.
Yeah. And then we just became friends and, stayed in touch. And then I had the Universal 2x4 hit me in the head. And then William really guided me through that and gave me different things to try and ways to test myself and things like that. So yeah, I just want to bring that up because I know you guys are friends with him. And
yeah, that's great.
He's an incredible teacher.
Yes.
He's told me on several occasions that I have some psychic ability. And a few months ago, we did a class with him, and I had like a profound experience that I'm still trying to like
process.
And like, I haven't decided if I want to pursue that or not, just because of the like my experience. I was full on just like weeping, and like whoever I connected with was like totally coming through, and it felt so weird, that's the best way I can describe it.
It does.
It's a weird experience. So
it does. And something like that, make sure that you're comfortable. If it's your pace, it's got to be your pace of how you're ready, and don't feel pressure from any external source to jump in. It's got to be your right time, and just, it'll happen as it's supposed to. Right. So you stopping yourself and kind of, stepping back a little bit for some perspective on it, that's great. And if you want it to happen, it can happen. And if it's supposed to happen, it will when you're ready. You know what I mean?
Totally.
Like you just trust in that it's going to happen when it's supposed to. And we got somebody who's commented here a while ago, and I just didn't get it up there yet. But Lakin Rooks, Lakin and Jude, man, listening, so excited. Go Fright Life.
Yay!
Yeah.
Thanks.
Hey guys.
Yeah, well, we're going to be talking about Fright Life here. When we come back, we're going to take a quick station break. We're going to talk about Fright Life. When we come back, we're going to have a special treat for everybody because Joss, if you didn't know, is in a band. And so we're going to be playing a track off their album, and the band is Foxglove. We're going to be playing a track called Bones when we come back from break. So stick around here on WLTK-DB.com. I'm your host, Peter Orbea, with Joss and Monique Rose from Fright Life Paranormal. We'll be right back. Stick around. All right, welcome back to the Paranormal Pete Show. I'm your host, Peter Orbea. We're with Joss and Monique Rose from Fright Life Paranormal. Welcome back to the show, guys.
Hi.
So let's talk a little music because we do that on the show occasionally here, and like to try and support local music, right? And get it out there. And I've been a musician since I was 5, I think. So we're going to be playing a song from your band. Tell us about your band, Joss, Foxglove, and like kind of, and maybe a little bit how you got into music.
Sure. Yeah. I got into music. It was, let's see, sophomore year of high school. I was in math class, and my friend Justin was like, "Hey, do you play bass guitar by chance?" And I was like, "No." And he's like, "You should." And then I was like, okay, cool. And then I think just that Christmas, my dad got me a bass guitar, and we used to jam in Justin's bedroom in his house and just make all kinds of ruckus. And he basically taught me how to play bass guitar. And I've been in 1,000 bands since then. I don't know.
Right. I know how that goes. Yeah.
It's just, it's pretty crazy. I did a lot in the kind of like pop punk emo scene in Portland.
Okay.
And then when my last band sort of dissolved, I wanted to shift gears, and Foxglove is sort of like a throwback garage rock and roll kind of thing, like heavily influenced by Black Keys and White Stripes.
I was digging it, man. I was listening to it the other day. It's good stuff.
Thanks, man.
So I'm glad you're on the right side of the force, playing bass. You're on the.
Well, I play guitar now, but
no, I'm just kidding.
But I still have a love for bass. I still have my my jazz bass, and I pluck around. Her name's Gladys.
Oh, nice. I went the other way. I started on guitar and then went to bass. I played tuba from, all growing up into college and everything. So bass clef was like where I naturally felt, and I'm in the right place. And but that's great. You're a bass player. I think that's so cool. And would you agree? Let me ask this: in the dynamics of a band, the bass player is the most responsible, right?
I would agree with that, honestly. But the nice thing about moving from bass to guitar is now I don't have to be responsible anymore. And I just to my
they haul your gear, they load it up, they make sure that everybody knows what time to be where, you don't have to deal with that anymore.
That's right.
So tell us about Foxglove, your album, and the song Bones that we're going to be playing here in just a second.
Okay. So Foxglove it's spelled Fawkes,
Yeah.
and the like punk rock side of me is like, yeah, it's Guy Fawkes, like, but really it's the Dumbledore's Phoenix from Harry Potter is what the
Nice.
and yeah, so it's, and then foxglove, like the flower, so it's kind of like a play on that. We've been around for a couple of years, but just like you were saying, it was like before the show started, we were talking backstage, the pandemic hit like right when we were trying to get going.
Yeah.
And
that makes it rough.
It does. We're on drummer number 5 right now. But Eli is like, he's the one. Yeah, he's not allowed to leave. We have some dirt on him and his family. No, I'm just joking.
Sometimes you got to go that route.
That's right. Yep. And so it's been a cool experience. This band has taught me a lot about guitar playing. Like I've had to kind of up my game a little bit because it's just a 3-piece. It's guitar, bass, and drums, and I've had to learn how to play lead guitar a little bit, which is a journey, we'll say.
I know the feeling.
Yeah. And we've been writing tons of songs. Bones is actually one of the first songs that I wrote for Foxglove, and then it kind of got kicked aside when we were trying to like hone in our sound a little bit, and then we rewrote it for this EP, and I think it's my favorite song.
Great. And you guys can catch them on Spotify, Amazon Music, wherever you can stream music. So let's go ahead and play the song Bones, and we'll see everybody on the flip side. Yes, that rocks, man. That's awesome.
Thanks, man. It's a groovy one. I like it a lot.
That is a groovy one. That bass tone on there is awesome. You guys have a big sound for a 3-piece, so that's really cool.
That's what we're going for.
Are you guys? So are you guys have any shows coming up, or what's going on?
Actually, we have one on Sunday, April 16th at the Holocene. We're playing with Vonnie Kyle and Mama Sam and the Jam, and it's just going to be epic. Like, if you haven't heard of those guys, definitely check them out.
Yeah.
Female fronted bands, and they rock so hard. It's insane.
Right on. Well, I really enjoyed your music, and thanks for sharing it with everybody tonight. And
thanks for playing it, man.
Play some other. Yeah, that's good grooving stuff there. Well, let's talk about your podcast, Fright Life. So how long have you guys been doing it? And like, what was the push that made you do it? What was the final push that made you do it?
Yeah, it's a good origin story, I think, for our podcasting adventure. So we're in year 2 now, and we started because we took a trip down to Joshua Tree.
Okay,
and just at the time we were really interested in Skinwalker Ranch, and I can't remember exactly what sparked that.
The documentary.
Oh, it was
with
Jeremy Corbell.
Jeremy Corbell. Yeah.
Okay.
That's what it was. So we wanted more information on that. And since we were driving, we thought, well, let's check out some podcasts and see, what people are saying about it. And we found a couple that we really liked, and then a bunch that we just didn't connect with exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And we started thinking, like, I mean, they're doing this and this. We could do this. We could totally do this. And we could make a show that is exactly what we're looking for. And we kind of brainstormed the whole way home, and I think like a week and a half later we were recording on an iPhone with this little like tiny microphone speaker input thing. Like, our first episode is just us kind of like huddled around the coffee table, just like, and that was it, man. We were hooked.
Yeah, that's awesome, and it's cool that you guys do it together. What's kind of what role did you kind of gravitate towards, Monique, when you guys, really got into it? What role did you kind of gravitate towards? And then Josh, you can follow up with where you kind of found the best place for you to fit in with it.
Yeah. So I am the researcher, and I mean, we'll both start off researching a case in general, but I'll do the deep dive and I do the writing. So generally ours starts with a narrative. So it's still the informational piece, but it's told sort of in a more storytelling way to really, capture the vibe and the essence of the story. So that's something I've always been interested in. Like, I was in theater, I wanted to, be an actor, and so I really like get into it. But the writing is my favorite thing. Like, I love writing.
Nice.
And I love that we can just put these out and kind of make it a little theatrical at the beginning, but then give the deep dive research. So that's sort of my contribution to the thing.
Great. Yeah, that's awesome. Josh, what about you?
I'm the more technical side. I set up all our gear. This is our recording microphones here, and we record our podcast literally like in this space.
Nice.
And then I do all the editing and all the graphic design and the social media stuff. Although she's doing the TikTok now, I mean, that's a whole thing. I cannot.
I like that you said the TikTok.
The TikTok. Because we're 100.
I'm right there with you, right there. That Joanna's saying it's such an awesome podcast, by far my favorite.
Oh, Joanna.
Hi, Joanna.
Yeah.
Hi.
So I hope you guys listening out there that you're going to go check out some of this. You mentioned storytelling, Monique. What do you think is important about storytelling, especially in this sort of field? I do tours myself. I'm telling people's story. You're telling stories. You're getting deep dive information out there. tell us, why is it so important to you for storytelling?
So there are a few things about that. One is history, right? We want to keep history alive and make sure that we really get everything out there that we can that may not necessarily be in the mainstream textbooks or lore of of a town, unless someone is continuing with those stories. And then another thing is that it connects so many people. So many cultures and so many groups of people and communities have an interest in, what happens to us, or, what certain things can mean. And it really connects us. And we've found, even in our travels, just mentioning that we're paranormal researchers, we suddenly have a million friends who are like, "Oh, I have to tell you that this one thing happened to me, and I thought I was the only one." And it really brings people together in a way that is just fantastic. So I love keeping that storytelling alive, because it also allows other people to tell their stories and feel comfortable.
Absolutely. I very well said on that as well. It's super important to keep the history alive, to keep the memory alive of people, places. One, we don't want to repeat history, right? So we should know our history. But yeah, I agree. I hope that moving forward in the field, as it does try and get more scientific, that the storytelling part of it doesn't go away, because like you said, it's that thing that connects across cultures, across, it's diverse, right? Storytelling is something that's diverse. And so I hope that moving forward, that doesn't become less because it's more data driven. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so I think like what you guys are doing, bringing that side of it along with actual research and stuff, I think it's like the 1-2 punch. It's like boom, boom. You've got both sides of aspects of it. And so very well. I haven't got there yet, but you have an episode on the Walker Ames house here in Port Gamble. Tell us a little bit about your experience there.
Yeah, so that episode, we don't dive as deeply, because we did want to hang out with you a bit more, because you are the resident expert of that place. But we were lucky enough to join in on an investigation there. First of all, the home is beautiful. It's just picturesque. I think the photo you shared you shared one the other day with the moonlight behind it. It's amazing.
Yeah.
And then, it's just living history, basically, walking into that place. So even being there was just a treat. But we did get to investigate.
Yeah. And we had our kiddo with us too, and she was helping us with the investigation, and she was so into it. It was awesome to have her there with us, experiencing that. And we had some really interesting experiments that we did with like the little cat ball things that light up.
Yep.
And Olivia, our daughter, was getting responses on the flashing cat ball toy in the basement area.
In the basement. Oh, interesting.
Yes. Yeah. That was the only thing that happened there in the basement, is she had set it down, and, several minutes later, she invited whatever entities were around to come and play with the ball, and it lit up. We didn't capture it moving. What's really weird is our brand new cameras malfunctioned during that time. So the only evidence we captured is the cat ball, but we have it on our phone. So luckily I was simultaneously recording.
Yeah, that's
but why did our brand new cameras malfunction?
And only in the basement too, because we have footage from the rest of the house that was fine.
But it was just the basement that.
Yep.
And it shows we recorded. It was just a corrupt, little chunk of time.
Couldn't recover that file.
Interesting. Well, I mean, it's not too surprising. In there, a investigator friend of mine, he was taking full spectrum photos on the second floor and captured, 1,000 pictures in a row. And he captured what looked to be a boy stepping out of this closet, and then the next picture, it's gone. Well, he went and it was on his camera. He was showing us on the viewfinder, and there it was. And then he took and copied all the photo, or moved all the photos off the camera onto the computer, and guess which photo no longer existed.
Oh,
Yep.
wow.
And another friend of mine, he has really nice cameras. We were shooting a promo thing, and he was like, he was going through batteries that are 8-hour long batteries, and this guy produced shows for MTV. He had really nice gear. And so he was like, this is so strange. Like, I mean, he went through multiple batteries, and he said, and then he got freaked out in there and wanted to leave because his camera, the white balance and the color balance, was doing this weird phase. And he says, oh, I've never seen these do this before. Can we just get out of here?
Yeah.
So,
Man, that's cool.
Yeah.
Cameras, in that location can be like that. Now, you guys, so we were just at the Oregon Ghost Conference, and it was great to connect with you guys there.
Yeah.
And hang out a little bit. So you guys went and investigated at the Masonic Lodge.
Oh, man.
And you shared an experience with me the morning after, and it's definitely, it gave me chills. But tell us, we don't have the audio to play, but just describe what was going on and what happened, because it was definitely a chilling experience.
Yeah, so we captured an amazing EVP. We walked into the Masonic Lodge. We were investigating with Ghostoria. So play on Ghost in Astoria, and they do tours in Astoria and investigations. So they were leading the investigation, and they had great gear. Like, we didn't even get our gear out. We just, like, when we joined those group ones, we like to really kind of just join and let them lead the way and just kind of observe.
That's where you can open up, right? That gives you the
Yeah.
opportunity to open up. And okay, keep going.
So we walk in, and first of all, just heading up the stairs in the Masonic Lodge, it felt like someone was literally a pressure, not like an actual touch, but like just pushing us down. It was very heavy, like top heavy in that place.
We were walking up, and I turned to look at Monique, and she looked at me, and it was just like we both knew we were feeling it. And it was almost like we couldn't even get all the way up the stairs, because it was so like disorienting. Wow.
And then up there we had some REM pods going off, and they were going off so frequently that the other investigators were kind of trying to be skeptical themselves. And they were like, okay, we just put new batteries in. They shouldn't be malfunctioning, because oftentimes low batteries, like in toys, children's toys and things, if the battery's low, that's when it will randomly turn on by itself. And a lot of people get that confused with paranormal activity. But yeah, they were going off so much, and then we took them downstairs, and they didn't go off again at all. So it's like, obviously this wasn't, malfunctioning for low battery reasons.
Right.
And we, Natalie with Ghostoria had a really great digital recorder, and she's like, well, we're not getting any hits on the, the paranormal tripwire, the REM pods. Let's try a recording and do an EVP session. And she asked a series of 4 questions, like, can you tell us something? Do you not want us to be here, especially the women? It is a Masonic Lodge, or was. And do you want us to go home now? Mm-hmm. And then is there anything else you can tell us? And we're in the room live. And we've had some EVPs where we play things back afterwards and, evidence review. And we're like, oh, was that something? And you kind of have to fish it out. This was played back live while we're all sitting there in real time.
And there was like probably 15 or 20 people all in the room. And the cool thing was about this investigation, just really quick, everybody in the room was like so good. Like, sometimes you get these groups of people together and it's just kind of like, oh, we're just here and it's kind of fun and blah, blah, blah. But like, everybody was into it. And the vibe in the room was just electric. It was amazing.
Yeah, it was really cool. So we were all kind of like on the edge of our seat, just watching Natalie do this EVP session. And she played it back in real time. Literally, there is a loud, close to the microphone answer to 2 of the questions. And I believed it to say, she says, do you not want us to be here, especially the women? And it just goes, no. Like, it's almost like blowing the speaker sound out. That's how intense. And then she says, do you want us to go home now? And we didn't catch this at first because we were all reacting to the first one so much. And I was like, play that back. I heard something else. And it says like, go home, like so clear. I think we put it up on our social media stuff. And Natalie has it, of course.
The ghost conference, and you can hear the whole audio in
our
episode.
Yeah. What's cool is like Nat with Ghostoria shared it, and she just has like a visual of the recorder. But I have it on my phone where it's like you hear her and see us where we are. You see that it's silent. We're not messing around. Yeah. She asks the question. You can tell there's no answer there that we can hear. And she does the playback in real time. So it's really cool to see it from that perspective.
Reaction of everybody in the room.
Yeah.
Too.
Just so excited about it.
Everybody's terrified and excited.
Yeah.
It's like,
that's a fun place to be though, right? Yeah, when you're looking for this stuff. Yeah. Well, that's cool. That's great that you guys had the video, with your phones. Yeah. So it just lends to that evidence that it wasn't one of the other investigators.
Yeah. Right.
That it lends to that credibility. To me, when you guys played it for me, I mean, it was like a death metal singer. That's what it sounded like to me. Like, go. Yeah. It's for all you death metal fans out there. It's what it sounded like. It was super loud.
It was just like right on the microphone, just like screaming into the microphone. Like,
it's amazing.
I'm like the hair on my arms is standing up just thinking about it. It was crazy.
Well, it's an incredible experience, and so cool that you guys got to be there for that. And check it out. Well, so what do you guys got coming up for the podcast? You got anything special that you're working on, or what's an upcoming episode that you're going to be starting to research?
Oh, so
man,
we've been putting a lot of little daily Fora Frights out, and that's just like a quick 1 to 2 minute session of something that I researched that doesn't need as big of a deep dive. And so I literally just texted Joss today, and I was like, oh, we need to put out an episode. So I have a little list. We're interested probably doing something UFO related.
Okay.
We're looking into the Carl Higdon case. He
what's
in the
that
70s, he claimed he was abducted. He was a hunter in Wyoming.
Okay.
And he actually shot a weapon. He was out elk hunting, and the bullet went like 30 feet and hit something invisible and fell to the ground. And they actually have the bullet as evidence. And more happened after that. So we're looking into the Carl Higdon case. It's a bizarre one. He has a very vivid description of these extraterrestrials that it's just out there, but it's exciting.
It's cool.
That sounds like a really cool story. And you guys can check out, you can get everything at frightlifeparanormal.com or wherever you get your podcast from. Look up Fright Life Paranormal. What do you guys think? We're almost out of time here, but have you done research on the aerial phenomenon? Where was that school in Africa? And
we have an episode.
That is a crazy story.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Yeah, I mean, Josh, you were probably just eating that one up, I'm sure.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite episodes. Actually,
that's a great one.
And the documentary, I think, is out. I had the director on, Randall Nickerson, the director of that documentary on, and just everything he went through from encountering wildlife while they're out in the bush and to interviewing the students that were there 30 years ago. I mean, it's what an incredible story. And well, gosh, I told you this hour is going to fly by.
Yeah, it did. We'll just have to come back.
Well, yeah, definitely have you back on. Yeah, this summer we'll see what's going on, see what you guys are up to, check in. But I want to thank you two so much for coming on the show tonight. We'll definitely have you back because I think there's so much more that we could get into.
Oh yeah.
But everybody out there, and for everybody catching the replay and the audio version of the podcast, go to frightlifeparanormal.com and learn what Joss and Monique are up to. And then check out Joss's band Foxglove, and that's FAWKES. And the album is How It Feels. Go check it out. We listened to Bones tonight, which is a great song. So Thank you guys both so much for coming on and being a part of the show on episode 99. It only took 99 episodes.
Thank you.
But we'll definitely have you on again. And for everybody else out there and everybody watching and listening, remember what I'm always talking about on the show. Take time each day if you can, or as you can in your busy schedules, to be present. Don't forget to be present with those you love and your friends and coworkers. Be present, be there. Don't worry about yesterday. Quit stressing out about tomorrow and take a minute to be right here, right now, and be present. And I wish everybody a good week. And we'll see everybody next week for the special 100th episode, the Paranormal Pete Show. And so I got lots of fun guests coming on. It's going to be a blast. But once again, thanks to Joss and Monique Rose here with Fright Life Paranormal. You guys rock. We'll see everybody next week. Take care. Have a good one.
The truth is here and now on WLTK-DB Talk Radio at WLTK-DB.com.